In this video, we will bring it all together, creating mass shapes, an architectural example. If you'd like to follow along with this video, please open the file, bring it together creating mass shapes architectural.dwg, located in the working files folder as discussed in the working with this dataset video. Let's bring it all together in a real-world example of performing some mass modeling of a conceptual design of our office park. We'll be creating solids using the press pull command, some extrusions, as well as the subtraction command. If you look in our file, you'll notice some existing 2D geometry that we will use as 2D profiles. Before we begin, let's check our settings. First, let's check the del obj variable, and normally when you have it set to 0, it retains that 2D geometry, which is a good idea sometimes. In this case, we want to get rid of the 2D geometry as we create the 3D solids from them. So let's enter a value of 1, which will remove all the geometry. Let's verify dynamic input is turned on. We also want to make sure that we have polar tracking turned on. We also want to have O tracking. And for the snaps, you want to have endpoint, midpoint, center, node turned on, intersection, and extension. It's also a good idea to have selection cycling, in this case, turned off for this example. And the 3D O snaps you want turned on are vertex, midpoint and edge, and center of face. So let's begin. The first thing we want to do is we'll just create some basic 3D solids of some existing AutoCAD points that we have in the file. Let's make sure our layer is set to A-building, and we'll go ahead and start the box command. Using the node snap, we can snap to these locations and then type a value in that we want for the height. In this case, we want it to be 50 units, press enter. Now again, knowing how AutoCAD works can save you a ton of time. We want to repeat this same exact building configuration for the other 3 buildings. How can we easily do that? Press enter to repeat the command, snap, snap, and then because 50 was our last value, we can simply press enter again and then quickly press enter to repeat the last command. So enter, enter, and then snap, snap, enter, enter, snap, snap, enter once, and there are our 4 buildings. Don't forget to shift middle click if you need to access the points. Now let's go ahead and press pull our main office building using the shortcut Control-Shift-E. As soon as you hover, it'll highlight the boundary within where your cursor is, and then simply left click. You're immediately prompted for the height. For the height, let's go ahead and type in 100 and then press enter. And there's our initial office building. Let's go ahead and zoom into this location here. This is going to be a parking garage. So we have some 2D profile geometry that we're going to use to create the height of the building. And then there's some existing geometry at a perpendicular plane that we're going to use to show off the actual tiers of the parking garage. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's first go ahead and start the press pull command because we want to do this in one full sweep. If we use Control-Shift-E, we'll have to individually select each of the different bounded areas. So go ahead and select press pull. And the first thing you want to do is just pick one of the objects. So we'll go ahead and select the circular object here. And instead of doing them all individually, we can choose the multiple option. Select this surface area here, select this area, and then press enter. And as you can see, we are now press pulling all of them at the same exact time. The height that we want is 50, and then press enter. Now what we want to do is we want to actually extrude these, and then we'll use the subtract command to show the levels of parking. Let's go ahead and start the extrude command, and we'll go ahead and select each of the different polylines here to extrude them together. Once you have your selection set, press enter, and as you can see, you can extrude them all. Let's go ahead and simply extrude them to the 3D midpoint O snap like so, and that will get them to touch the other side. Now what we need to do is take out that area. Although we haven't gone over the Boolean operations, we will do so in a future video. Let's go ahead and go to the solid editing panel and then choose the subtract command. The first thing we want to do is pick the main solids that we want to keep. So we want to pick this solid here, and this solid here. Once you have that selection set, press enter. Now you want to select the objects you want to subtract from those 3 main solids. We'll go ahead and select this one, this one, this one, and lastly, this one here. Press enter, and as you can see, you now have some cool graphics to show the representation of the different parking lot levels. Really cool. Notice how we have an existing image as a backdrop to show our conceptual design nicely. Let's go ahead and thaw all our layers to see the other objects that are in our file. Let's navigate to the Home tab, Layers panel, and let's go ahead and choose the Thaw All Layers. As you can see, we have some previously drawn conceptual design objects for our existing buildings and houses and so on.